All right, class, today we are going to learn the most exciting thing you've had in your classes yet. Are you guys ready for it? All right, so everybody drew in altitudes on those, didn't they? So an altitude means it's going from a vertex straight across, making a 90-degree angle. So what I want to do first is go over a couple things. This is not on your paper. This is just extra beneficial learning. I'm going to ask everybody this question. So I'm going to draw in this right triangle right now, okay? If I have it up there just like that, is there an altitude already up there? Luke says yes. Where do you think it is? You are correct.
The middle corner.
No, it's a sign.
Like this side would be one. Now here's what I want to point out first, okay? In right triangles, do you guys agree they make a right angle, obviously, right? So what that means is, when we're drawing in altitudes, this side right here is an altitude. You guys with me? And this side would be an altitude. Because you can always take the two sides and make the right angle and use that as like base and height, either way, to do the area of a triangle. So they already have two in there. We're drawing the third one in. So when it said draw in that altitude, it should have probably said draw in the other altitude. So the one I would draw in here, the one that's not on the paper yet, would be this one right here. Okay, you guys with me on that so far? So altitudes have to be drawn in, make a 90-degree angle. All right, so when I do that, okay, I'm going to do another example here. Okay, so right now, how many triangles do I have up there? Do you guys agree there's one? Yes? Now, once I draw in an altitude, though, how many triangles are there now?
Two.
There's two more, plus remember the big one? So really, there's how many?
Three.
There's three. Now, we're going to come back to this in just a second. So I'm going to draw, this would be there's a big triangle. Then there's going to be the medium-sized one. It's kind of like three bears. And then there is the little triangle. So anytime I draw in an altitude, I now have three triangles. Okay, is everybody with me on that idea first? Okay, now we're going to do this. We're going to look at that first example they give us there. Okay, my big triangle on this first example is L, N, and M. So does everybody see that triangle there? So down here below, they put triangle N, M, L. Everybody got that written in, don't they? Now, we're going to name the other two triangles. So this big triangle here, N, M, L, N is the right angle. We're going to name the next biggest triangle in there, which is going to be this one here, okay? Now what we're going to try to do is go in the same order. So I want you guys to do this first. In the big triangle, you guys agree that LM would be the hypotenuse of the big triangle? See how I have LM there? Yes? Okay, now on my two legs, remember the legs are the things that make the right angle. There's a shorter side and there's a longer side in there, okay? So when they named this one, they went NML. You guys see how they went along the shorter leg, then up the hypotenuse? I'm going to do that same thing with my next one. I'm going to do PNL. That's what you would write. Okay, so write that in now. I'm going to explain better where this all comes from and give you another way to look at it. And then when I go to my smaller triangle, I'm going to go in that same pattern. I'm going to start with the right angle, go on the short leg, go up the hypotenuse. So it would be PMN. Okay, so everybody got those three written down. Okay, now, next what we're gonna talk about is why are these similar? How many angles do we have to show two triangles are similar? We just need to have two, right? So do you guys agree that in all of these all of these triangles, we have a right angle? Correct? So we have one. All we need is another one. Well, here's what happens. In this little triangle right here, for this medium-sized one, that angle is the same in that one as it is in the big triangle, isn't it? Do you guys agree with that? When I look at this one, that angle is the same in both this little triangle and the big one, isn't it? That's my two angles. So basically, because that's the same in the little one and the big one, this is the same in the medium size and the big one, basically all three angles are the same, so these triangles are similar. Okay, that's the why. Now, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna figure out how we could use that fact. Now remember, if things are similar, we can set up proportions, correct? Okay, now here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna skip that next example. We're gonna go down to number 1 where it says find the value of x. So I'm gonna explain to you how we can set this up. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna draw in the three triangles. They've already got them for you. But in all three of these triangles, we're gonna have three parts. Okay? They're all gonna have hypotenuse, aren't they? And then can you guys tell that on the legs, you can always have a shorter leg and a longer leg? You guys with me on that? So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna come up here. We're gonna look at this little triangle first. Okay? That 5, that is the shorter leg. You guys see what I mean by that? 10 is the longer leg. We don't know the hypotenuse, do we? So down here on my little one, I'm gonna put 5 for the shorter leg, 10 for the longer leg. Everybody do that. Okay, now we're gonna go to the medium one, this one right here. Okay, what do you guys think 10 would be? Is it the hypotenuse, the shorter leg, or the longer leg? The shorter leg, isn't it? So I would put it here. X would be what? The longer leg, right? Now look at it carefully. Remember the hypotenuse is always across from what? The right angle. So on this one right here, this is the hypotenuse, which we don't know. That would be the longer leg. So it's gonna go there. In my big triangle, okay? If I take x plus 5, like this whole side, what side is that in the big triangle? It's the hypotenuse. So I'm gonna put that right here. So let's go back through real quick what we just did. So in the little one, okay, we didn't know the hypotenuse, we knew the short leg and the long leg, right? So I put those in, 5 and 10. In the medium one, once again, did not know the hypotenuse, but we did know the short leg, and x was the long leg. So I put those in. On the big one, I only knew the hypotenuse, the x and the 5. X plus 5, sorry. So now, if all three of these are similar, which two triangles am I gonna have to use to set up a ratio? Or I should say a proportion? Will I be able to use the big one? No, Jeremy, what do you think?
I think that'd be the largest and the medium one.
We can use the medium for sure. What's the problem with, why can't we use this one? Because we only have how many sides in it? 1, so we can't set up a ratio with that one. These two, we have the same sides, don't we? We have the x and 10, the 10 and 5. So we can set up x over 10 equals 10 over 5. Let's all write down that proportion. So x over 10 would have to equal 10 over 5. Now when we get a proportion, now we can solve it. 5 times x equals 100. We divide by 5, we get x equals 20. All right, let's turn the page and do one more together. Okay, now for this one, here's what I want you to do first. Draw 3 triangles in. Big one, medium, small one. All right, so we got 3 right triangles. Because if I draw them out, now it'll make it easier to tell what goes with what. Okay, once I have the 3 triangles drawn out, now we're gonna go to the smallest one. What's the only side we know in the smallest triangle here? Is it short leg, long leg, or hypotenuse? Short leg, so I'll put it with the short leg here, right? Now, we already know, do you think we're gonna use this one? Nope, because it's only got one side. Now we're gonna go to the medium one. Okay, what is the 6? Is it the long leg or the short leg? Can you tell? Looks a little harder to tell, isn't it? It's gonna be the long leg though. What's the Y? It's the hypotenuse. Now let's look at the big triangle, okay? In the big triangle, Y would be the what? Long leg, wouldn't it? Now, I'd have to add 6 and 3 together to get the hypotenuse, wouldn't I? So 9 would be the hypotenuse. So these are the 2 we're gonna use right here. So I'm gonna put y over 9. Okay, so I went the long leg over the hypotenuse, right? So I gotta do the same thing here. A longer leg over the hypotenuse. So that's my proportion to use there. Okay, once I get that, now I can cross multiply. Now what's gonna happen here, what is y times y? It's not 2y, it's y squared. So if you do y times y, it's y squared. 9 times 6 is 54. If you have something squared, how do we get rid of the square? Square root it. And then anytime I have a square root like that, I gotta take the 54 and break it down. 54, I can break it down into 2 and 27. I could do 3 and 9. I'll just do it all the way so we see it. So 54 could break down into 2 and 27. 27 could break down into 3 and 9. 9 could break down into 3 and 3. So remember, anytime you have a pair, that goes out front. The ones that don't have a pair get multiplied and stay in. 3 squared is 6 would be my answer. Okay, you guys try number 3 on your own.